Is the real estate market on hold yet again? I'm Steph Saunders with Foundation Brokerage Group, and this is the Upside Downside Real Estate Report for March, April 2026. So first up, the upside for buyers is a lot of people are going to drop out of finding a home when there's major world events, which is happening right now, and interest rates ticking up. Yes, they've gone back up to about 6.5% to 7%. They were trending down around 6% for a while, but since the war started, that is over. So a lot of people are going to pull back. They're going to wait and see. And also some people just can't afford that home at 7% the same way that they could afford it when things were 6% a couple months ago. So that's sort of what's happening on the buy side. However, I always say as buyers, when things are a little bit more tricky, when people drop out, it becomes less competition for you. We still are seeing multiple offers, especially in that first-time home buyer market. Our first-time home buyer market around here, I say a lot of people are trying to find that first home for under $550,000. So those homes in Mass and New Hampshire are still having multiple offers, especially when they're turnkey, they're move-in ready, and the deferred maintenance is done and they don't have to do a lot. So that's still very competitive. In the move-up market, let's call that above $600,000. So between your $600,000 to $800,000, maybe $850,000, that's your move-up market. That's people who maybe have something to sell, maybe a condo, maybe a starter home, and they're moving into that bigger home. That market is a little bit slower. I'd say maybe a couple weeks, 2-3 weeks is okay. If things are sitting longer than that, because we're such low inventory, there could be something wrong. It could be overpriced. It could need really expensive deferred maintenance. A big thing we see around here is 50, 60, 70-year-old septic systems, which is a major hit for a buyer, especially if you're going to be in that home for, let's say, maybe like 10 years, that's probably going to fall on you. Maybe your septic goes 100 years. I hope it does. But people have to be prepared if they're moving into this $800,000 home. The mortgage is going to be what, $5,000, $6,000 a month. And then in a couple years, if the septic fails, I mean, at least $50,000 in a 3-bedroom home, maybe upwards of $100,000 in a 4-bedroom or bigger home, it's a really big hit. So people pause on those homes. They're not racing to buy them. They really have to run the numbers and see if maybe a seller is going to drop the price a little bit, or maybe if a concession can be made, because this is a really big ticket item that really affects our market quite a bit. All right, moving on to the sell side. The upside for sellers is we have such little inventory. I can name several personal buyers that are just sitting there every day, opening up my emails to see if anything has come on the market that fits the town they're looking for, towns they're looking for, their price they're looking for, the specs they're looking for. And we've had such a harsh winter. I've been telling them for weeks now, the houses are coming. The houses are coming. We just have to get out of this piles of snow that we've had, this terribly cold winter that we've had. However, I'm also have sellers on the sell side that pausing to think, is this the right time to list my house? They're seeing major world events play out. They're seeing their retirement accounts being affected. So perhaps people that were gung-ho to list this spring might wait a little bit to list those homes. So we're still waiting to see. Good news for sellers, if you are listing your home, you have very little competition. So as long as you have a great strategy, you've done your deferred maintenance, you're working with somebody to really prepare your home for market and be honest with you, like, here are the things that could make this house not sell. Here are the things that you should take care of before you list the home. And if we identify those and you don't take care of them, just be realistic that they might come up on a home inspection and a buyer might want to renegotiate on some of those really big ticket items. The downside for sellers is because the buyer's money isn't as strong right now. So interest rates have gone up. The buyers have less purchase power, which means that they have less cash after they close, or maybe the house is more expensive than they thought. They don't have, and haven't for many years, a lot of extra cash after the closing to fix things that are deferred. Now, I'm not talking about a bathroom that they can, renovate that's in great working order, a kitchen that's been renovated, maybe hopefully in the last 30 years. These are things that they can do down the road. I'm talking about electrical issues, well issues, septic issues, roof issues, water issues, mold issues, drafty windows, old oil tanks, old HVAC. I'm talking about the big stuff that needs to be taken care of. Either you have to do it or you have to make concessions with your sale price. So We are seeing a lot more negotiation happen. I know for many years, especially in our market, that we were waiving everything, and it causes a lot of problems. In Massachusetts now, there's no more waiving inspections. Every buyer has the right to inspect the home, and very few buyers are not going to take that opportunity. Maybe some investors or flippers, and they're like, we don't care, we're trashing it anyway. But if you're a buyer and you're buying an $800,000 home and you have a legal right in the state of Massachusetts to inspect it, you're going to do the inspection and you're going to find stuff, because you always find stuff. I mean, it might not even be something the seller knows. Maybe they do. In New Hampshire, however, there is still a lot of waiving of home inspections going, especially in homes that are a lower price point, because people are just trying to get into anything. The average age for a first-time home buyer right now in this country is well into the 40s. So there's a lot of people that still have not bought their first home, and they just want to get into something because it is a great way to put your money for a long-term economic growth and to have a nest egg when you retire. Hopefully we're all like all those boomers that, bought their house for $9,000 and, now it's worth $1 million. So good for them. I think there's a lot of millennials and Gen Z that would like at least the opportunity to build wealth through home ownership. It's been so hard the last couple of years. And I don't think our market here in the greater Boston area has had it let up, really. The interest rates have remained high. People want to live in the greater Boston area. They want to be here for jobs. They want to be here for schools. They want to be here for quality of life. They want to be here for family. Whatever their reasons are, they want to be here for education. So we have a little bit of an insulated market. You'll see headlines that says, home prices are crashing. But you have to ask yourself, where is that happening? Is it a less desirable part of the country? Even though if you look at where people are moving out of Mass, they're moving into New Hampshire. More people are moving into Maine. 78%, I should say South Carolina had a 78% increase in people that moved there. I don't blame them. I love Southern Carolina. And then Idaho had a really big jump too. So I don't know what's going on in Idaho. I don't know, but a lot of people moving there. So it really depends on what the headline is feeding you on. But in our market, it's been challenging ever since COVID. And the great homes get gobbled up. There's still major bidding wars for the good homes. It's still been a tough market. So strategy is very important on both sides for sellers, making sure that the product that you are putting on the market is ready to go. And sometimes that takes somebody being honest, saying, yeah, you do need to invest in some cleaning. You do need to invest in some repairs. You do need to invest in some staging. However, it's your house. You can do whatever you want. I'm just going to help you put a great product on the market. And buyers just need a little bit more strategy. They just need a little bit more understanding about what their long-term goals are, how long they plan to be in this house, really what they're looking for. And sometimes they need help seeing the potential of a home, because not every home is made to look like HGTV. Sometimes people have to move real fast. They have to get that home on the market, and it's completely cluttered. It's just hard to see the diamond in the rough. And I think that's part of our job, is to say, hey, I know this isn't the prettiest house on the market, but what if we added some paint here? What if we took all of this stuff out of this home and we really just looked at the bones? So I think that's really important. And I think that's a lot of education. And I think that's one thing I love about being a realtor is there's a different set of education for sellers. There's a different set of education for buyers. And it's really interesting when they're doing both. So oftentimes I sell a home and then I help them buy the home. And the education is so different. And sometimes it's nice to do it at the same time, because I can say, hey, you're a buyer. Imagine if the seller you were trying to work with was completely immovable and unwilling to negotiate. Remember, you're always going to be on the other side of the table. All in all, the snow is gone. The spring market is coming. We do have homes on the market, not a lot. I hope that there's more, but I understand people's pausing and concerns. And I understand interest rates being back up closer to 7 is a real gut punch. So we will persevere. The best time to buy a house is yesterday. I understand that money is a little bit more expensive right now, but I don't think it should slow you down if your goal is home ownership and you're thinking about 10, 20, 30 years from now. So that's the Upside Downside Real Estate Report from my point of view. My name is Stephanie Saunders. I'm a realtor with Foundation Brokerage Group. I'm here in northern Massachusetts and southern New Hampshire. I work a lot along the border. I think most of the time I'm moving people from Mass into New Hampshire. or I'm moving people into Mass that are relocating from other parts of the country. So that's kind of my bread and butter right now. And if you'd like to have a conversation, you can always join me here in our office. It's our beautiful office right in Salem, New Hampshire. Of course, I can always come to you. I'm very Zoom enabled. Thanks so much for watching. I really appreciated doing a little bit of a longer format. I haven't done this in a while. So, I always have my short 60-second version, and then I'm going to try to have these chats more regularly, kind of a little bit more like a podcast style. But I don't know. Did you like it? Did you learn anything? Is this useful to you? Did you hate it? Do you prefer the short form? Let me know. Drop a comment, send me a note. If you want to answer any questions, I can go ahead and do that as well. So that's it. Got to get back to work. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next month for another episode of the Upside Downside Real Estate Report.